guys, Una 516 here, and I'm kind of here just because I really needed to fill up some of my COPIC markers, and you guys need some questions answered, so I figured, why not kill two birds with one stone and fill up some COPIC markers while I answer some of these questions? Because I also imagine some of you would like to know how to refill these things. So I figured, why not just do it now? So basically, first off, I'm going to mention, I don't remember if in the last video I really showed this, but let me see if I can. Well, whatever. For the life of me, I couldn't get my stupid camera to focus where I needed to. But anyway, you can't really see it that well, but this tip is really dry. I mean, it's so dry to where it's like not even coloring. It's barely even coloring. So this one definitely needs filled up. And by the way, if you guys can hear that annoying buzzing, it's my laptop. It's got something in it, and I haven't been able to really properly take it apart and fix it. So I apologize if you guys can hear that. I just kind of have it up for a little notes myself, so I can remember what the heck I'm talking about while I'm doing this. Okay, so one of the first questions I got. One of the first questions I got was, don't the markers get stained with other colors when blending? Not really. They do, obviously. Oh, you can see the white tip here better. Okay, I'm being super ADD right now, but whatever. Not necessarily, because not all of the markers dry instantly, and some tips just honestly get stained regardless. Oh, I already spilled. Yay. Some tips just get stained regardless of what you do. It really depends on what colors you use first. Because honestly, I found one of the best ways to reduce the amount of staining that I experienced was by using a lot of the lighter colors first. So for instance, like colors that I know that I'm going to be using a lot of, like skin color. I usually use skin color first because that's one of the things that really annoys me when it gets smudged, which is probably why that tip is so blackened. But I mean, I think the only true way to not stain a marker tip is to just color first, which really isn't an effective strategy, because honestly, how do you know what you're going to color if you can't see what you're coloring? Or you don't know what you're coloring? So honestly, one of the best things to do is, it also deeply depends on your paper type, because glossy paper holds marker a lot better, but that also means that your micron pens also have a higher chance of getting, staying wet for longer, which can lead to staining on your markers, which is what happens to me a lot, even though I use sort of an in-between paper. Rough paper isn't really that great either, because it sometimes over-soaks the ink, and the ink can end up going places you don't want it to, and that's why I find it better to just use a little bit of a medium grade paper, not too smooth, not too rough, because then honestly I have a good ratio of smooth and rough to where the ink will stay, but it's not going to smear all over the place. Which is a good and a bad thing. A good thing that it doesn't ruin a lot of my pieces and I can actually have a bit more control over the ink, but also bad because the ink really doesn't blend as well on that type of paper. So it's really up to personal choice, and honestly, if you're one of those people who smears their hand all over the paper like I do, it's typically better to have sort of a medium grade paper as opposed to a glossy paper. I have not been keeping track of how many drops I've been putting in this thing, to be honest. I heard somewhere that 30 drops should be enough for these sketch markers. Oh, I'm spilling more, yay. But honestly, I think that's a load of shit, because I have put 30 drops in these markers before, and I feel like I use them maybe once or twice, and then they're already low again, and I'm like, where the fuck did all my ink go? Like, I just filled this bitch. Also another random tip while I'm on the subject of filling markers again. when you're done filling them, I find it good if you use the brush tip a lot to store them upside down at least overnight or for a couple of hours. Or even just like, pressing the one end you want the ink to sink down on your hand. Just kind of get the ink down there. Like that. Kind of helps. Again. So reading over the comments from my other video, I had some people ask me, well, why do they make the blending markers, so stainable so easily? And my honest answer, I have no idea. But a lot of people were making suggestions about, like, preventing the wiping, like, for instance, just, like, preventing the smearing by methods of, like, wiping the tip after it's used. And, I mean, it sounds like it could work. I mean, someone even said, just Google methods on how to use it and do that. And honestly, I have no idea why they made it that way. But, apparently it's effective to some degree because some people seem to find it very useful. I've never really found it that useful a tool myself, because the one time I did try to use it, it just smeared the tip and then it dried out and I wasn't able to use it again. So, I don't know. I mean, I suppose it's just something that I need to experiment with more to give you guys an accurate display of exactly how that tool is useful, how it's not useful. One thing I did forget to mention while I was thinking about this, someone asked me what the nibs were made out of. I don't remember who it was. But, I honestly have no idea, but I do know that the markers themselves are alcohol-based, non-toxic. So, these can stain clothes, which is why I'm doing this over a napkin, as to not stain my carpet. And also, another way to prevent smearing is, through doing all of your darker blacks, last. Like, for instance, the pure black parts, and if you're doing, like, extra lining for depth and shadows, then you would wait on that, too. I'm just all kinds of over the place in this video, aren't I? And let me just say, I'm not good at this. I've never been good at refilling Copic markers. I always seem to manage to get it all over the place, and if you do get it all over the place, you can use, alcohol swabs to clean them off. But just make sure not to get it on your clothes. What was I saying before that? Oh god. Oh yeah, and the nibs are replaceable. So if you do, like, just can't help it, your tips get severely stained, do not worry, you can buy new nibs. And I want to say they're fairly cheap, at least the one time I bought them, which I may do a video of me replacing some nibs if I can figure out where the hell I put them, but I want to say they're fairly, I wouldn't say they're cheap, but I wouldn't say they're, expensive either. I want to say it was about $6 or $7 for a set of, for some nibs. But that's just where I bought them. I think you can get them elsewhere for probably a lot cheaper. God, we're going to have the frickin' rainbow all over this napkin by the time I am done with this, I swear.